Day 2 of Washington Commanders training camp is officially in the books, and while the defense continues to have its way early, as expected this time of year, there's a genuinely compelling storyline brewing around Terry McLaurin's leadership, some encouraging flashes from the passing game, and a couple of injury situations worth monitoring closely without hitting the panic button just yet. Let's break it all down. Let's start with the obvious theme. The defense remains a step ahead of the offense right now, which is completely normal for this stage of camp. Defensively, this unit simply gets to read and react, while the offense is still working through installing timing and rhythm between quarterbacks and receivers. So don't stress too much if you keep hearing that the defense is dominating early sessions. On the turnover front specifically, safety Malik Spencer picked off a pass intended for one of the quarterbacks battling for the third-string job. Cornerback Michael Sainristil forced a fumble on running back Bill Krosky-Merritt, and veteran cornerback Rasul Douglas intercepted a pass from Marcus Mariota. 3 real takeaways in a single practice is a great sign for a defense looking to build early confidence. On the offensive side, there were genuine bright spots worth appreciating too. Tight end Ben Sinnott flashed real pass-catching ability, exactly the kind of development fans have been patiently waiting 2 full seasons to see from a player this front office invested a third-round pick in. And quarterback Jayden Daniels continues to look increasingly comfortable growing into the role of a true franchise quarterback. Given this organization's rocky quarterback history over the past few decades, that's genuinely difficult for some fans to fully process. But it shows up clearly in his mannerisms, his overall command, and his actual play on the field. He connected with Luke McCaffrey on a nice touchdown throw, working with the first-team offense, continuing to build real chemistry across this receiver room. The single best individual catch of camp so far, though, belongs to backup tight end Colson Yankoff, who came down with a genuinely impressive 50-50 contested grab over the middle of the field on a throw from Marcus Mariota. Mariota also connected with rookie receiver Antonio Williams, marking back-to-back days now that the Clemson product has stood out in practice. And that's exactly what you want to see from a young player at this stage, while it's still far too early to draw sweeping conclusions given how low the bar naturally sits this early in camp. As long as a player like Williams keeps clearing that bar consistently, it builds real, gradual confidence heading toward the regular season. Now, let's address a couple of injury situations worth monitoring, though not panicking about just yet. Center Nick Allegretti is dealing with a calf issue, and while head coach Dan Quinn has downplayed its severity, that's fairly standard coach speak for this time of year. Receiver Treylon Burks is also managing a foot injury. For both players, the real threshold for concern comes if either misses time deep into next week rather than just resting over this coming weekend. Both of these players carry real significance for this roster too. Allegretti is set to handle center duties, and looking back at this offseason's somewhat surprising decision to move on from the team's previous starting center with a year still remaining on his contract in favor of Alec Ingold, the likely explanation is that this coaching staff simply believes Ingold's specific skill set better fits the offensive system Cliff-era holdover coordinator David Blow wants to run this season. That's a reasonable football decision on its own, but it's exactly why you don't want to see Allegretti banged up this early in camp, especially with so much invested in that specific plan working out. As for Burks, he genuinely possesses all the natural talent and size to be a legitimately dangerous number 2 receiver in this league if he can just stay on the field for a full season. Unfortunately, availability has been the recurring theme of his career, and the hope here is simply that this latest issue turns out to be minor and he's back out there soon. Now let's talk about the story that might matter more than any single practice play: Terry McLaurin's presence and leadership this training camp. Watching him operate now genuinely reinforces the argument that letting last year's contract standoff drag out as long as it did, even if the front office ultimately won that specific negotiation, may have cost this organization more in team chemistry and momentum than it gained financially. McLaurin simply looks like a different, more at-peace version of himself this year. And it shows up constantly in how he carries himself around the building. Beyond his own individual play, he's been an incredible influence throughout this receiver room, working directly with Jayden Daniels on route details and communication, and spending real time mentoring this team's younger receivers. There was even a specific moment recently where McLaurin led a detailed breakdown with Daniels after a play that came up just short of the first down marker, dissecting exactly what went wrong, whether it was route spacing or a specific cut. That kind of granular, hands-on leadership genuinely elevates the energy and precision of this entire offense. And it's a great reminder of just how much of a difference one experienced, well-respected veteran can make on team culture alone. Finally, at kicker, the competition between Jake Moody and Drew Stevens remained a dead heat, with both kickers going a perfect 6 for 6 on the day, connecting from a range of distances up to 45 yards. Worth noting, both are currently kicking with a backup holder in place, which raises an interesting wrinkle worth monitoring as camp progresses. If the presumptive starting punter and holder isn't fully ready to go by next week, and either kicker has a shaky rep tied to snap or hold issues, does that create any unintended benefit of the doubt for the incumbent kicker? That's a subtle storyline worth watching as this competition continues playing out, heading toward the first preseason game. So here's where things stand after 2 days of Commanders training camp. A defense continuing to generate real turnovers and build early confidence exactly as expected this time of year. Genuine offensive bright spots from Ben Sinnott, Colson Yankoff, and Antonio Williams. A couple of injury situations worth monitoring closely without overreacting just yet. And Terry McLaurin quietly proving, through pure presence and leadership, exactly why he's so much more valuable to this organization than any single stat line could ever fully capture. So tell us, how concerned are you about the Allegretti and Burks injury situations heading into next week? And do you think Terry McLaurin's leadership this camp validates the argument that the front office should have handled last year's contract situation differently? Let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single update as training camp continues to unfold. There's a lot more to track in the days ahead, and we'll be right back here with the next update very soon. Hail to the Commanders!